within 6 months, we had listings in Harvey, Nichols and Fortnum and Mason. We had a wholesale partnership. We were exporting to 5 different countries, and we were like, holy, like this is like taking off in a big way. So when you talk about spreading yourself thin, I was like paper thin at this point, probably underachieving on every front.
There's a reason why. So you're either crazy or you're a genius, right?
So the biggest mistake we made was launching at the market thinking the subscription was going to be all things for all people, and it definitely isn't. It definitely isn't. But dealing with your own shit. So I normally deal with my own shit. Getting ploughed head on in a car crash last November.
Wow.
Everything else I'm in control of. I'm intentional.
Welcome to the AMSOS podcast.
Thank you.
And you have no clue what I'm about to ask you, because I have no clue what I'm about to ask you, and that's the beauty of the game.
I've never been so terrified by a deck of cards, not gonna lie.
So we're gonna start straight with the categories. There's 2 different categories, and I'm just gonna ask you which one you want to pick from.
Okay.
And yeah, we'll jump straight into it. Ambition versus acquisition.
Literally straight in. Ambition versus acquisition. Let's go with ambition.
Okay. Mistakes versus money.
Mistakes.
Sacrifice versus service.
Sacrifice.
Opinions versus operations.
Operations.
Survival versus strategy.
Let's go survival.
Okay, here we go. So while I get these ready, why don't you give us some intro about yourself? Tell us who you are, your agency, what it is that you've been doing. And I know you're doing some exciting stuff, so I'll be interested to hear what you say.
Yeah, so I'm Craig Fell. I'm founder and managing director of LYFE Studio. We've been going now for almost 7 years, actually, in July. And before that, I ran and exited a full-service marketing agency that was based in Knutsford. So I ran that one from literally start-up to being 11 years old. We've got the team up to about 17 in that business. I exited to put much more emphasis and focus back on my own profession, which is as a graphic designer. So I was at a creative director level designer at that point. And then LYFE Studio was born pretty much in the same week that I exited the last business, and we've been growing that one since. Where LYFE Studio differs, I suppose, is we put a big emphasis on brand strategy, creative strategy, and the top level brand communications piece. We don't really delve into marketing in much of a way. We support the marketing function massively, but we aren't a marketing agency. You'll be delighted to know. So yes, strategic brand and creative execution is everything we're about. We work cross-sector and across a load of different business sizes as well, from ambitious startups to multi-billion turnover, and everything in between, from energy sector right the way down to direct-to-consumer and e-commerce. So it's got a huge, really engaging, broad offering, niche down more by service than sector.
Okay, no, that's pretty cool. I mean, I've seen some of the work you guys do without blowing smoke up your backside. It's pretty good. It's very, very, very good.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate it.
But what I want to pull straight away before we jump into your first category, ambition, is you've exited an agency. You were part of this thing for quite some time before you then start building your own, which now you said 7 years old. What was that transition like?
The transition was difficult. It was stimulated by something else that kind of occurred, to be honest. So when I was inside the other agency, I built it with a really good friend, still really good friends now, and it really took on the mold of being a marketing agency first, and then the creative was more like the support. My passion always lay in branding and strategic creative execution. So the amount of fulfillment I got from that varied. Sometimes projects were very creative centered. Other times it was very much about the marketing retainer and the delivery of reports and the stats, and creative was almost a support dynamic for that function. I enjoyed that less. So when I always had the idea of kind of setting up a creative agency, it was always going to be creative first. Now, where that kind of started from was I launched a gin business when gin was just on the up. So we weren't producing the gin initially. I was producing the brand, the marketing piece around it, all the creative touch points, and really allowing myself to express myself, all inspired by a trip I had when I visited Asia. And it was a beautiful project to bring to market. And the whole idea was it was meant to just be a live and die project. It was meant to be, we'll run one batch, we'll take it as far as we can, and with that one batch, draw a line under it and move on. It really took off in quite a big way. Like within 6 months, we had listings in Harvey, Nichols and Fortnum and Mason. We had a wholesale partnership. We were exporting to 5 different countries, and we were like, holy, like this is like taking off in a big way. So before it became a conflict of interest, because I had different partners in that business, I approached the partners I had and said, look, I feel like I need to get out before it becomes a problem, to be totally honest. So it was almost a little bit forced through circumstance, albeit it was a brave move to make. I was firmly comfortable in the role that we had. The business was doing well, there was never a problem. So it was a difficult thing to walk away from, especially when I helped build it. But I was a smaller part shareholder in that business, and when I left, the idea was design was always going to still be at the centre of everything I did. So LYFE Studio was born to support that journey alongside the gin, and I was in control of my entire destiny. It was about taking like my control back and not having to feel any guilt or ask any questions, and just drive things forward for myself, really.
Love that. Well, no wonder you picked ambition. I mean, you've been part of an agency that you exited, you grew a gin brand, and now your creative studio, creative agency, LYFE Studio, has been going for 7 years. So I'm not surprised now that you picked ambition. So yeah, which card are you going for? I'm
going to go out to the side.
Okay. Let's see what we have.
Nervous.
What's the most ambitious thing you secretly believe this agency could become?
Become an agency that has a real, tangible opportunity for me to exit. Agencies, as you'll know, in the service sector are not that easy to exit, because quite often you're tight-roped into every element of the function, and quite often it's based on a relationship that might live and die in a week or two's time. So exit's never easy, because for an investor or someone going through acquisition, which you will know yourself, you've got to look at revenue, you've got to look at the MRR, ARR, where it's coming from, how tangible that is, it's going to stick around, how much belief you have in that. And the new model we've developed for LYFE Studio brings a real sort of element of recurring revenue that is, in my opinion, saleable in the future.
What is that model? Because when we're talking off camera, you briefly told me about it, and I'm like, that's sick. I don't think I've ever seen any other creative studio do this. So what is that model, and why did you decide to take such a bold, brave step? Because no one's doing it. There's a reason why. So you're either crazy or you're a genius, right? So tell us a bit more about that.
So the new model was born out. I mean, first of all, I'm only 43 years old, and I've now been running my own agencies for coming up 18 years. So for 43, I've got quite a bit of hands-on business ownership, agency driving experience. So I've seen it transition massively in those 18 years, the whole landscape, the market space itself, like how clients engage with agencies, what clients' expectations are, the advancements in technology, which I'm sure will come up at some point today. They always do. There's a lot of change gone in the sort of creative services sector over the last 10, 15 years. And I was just trying to identify an opportunity for an agency to become a different type of partner to a client. So rather than operating on a typical project basis of hours times hourly rate, where you pitch your proposal to the client, they inevitably can look at things, have a budget in mind, question how long something's going to take, why your rate's that expensive. And in a lot of instances, the client isn't always best placed to make those judgments, but it's all they've got. So the yardstick was always based on the metrics of time or rate. So that was, for me, the biggest problem in the client and supplier relationship model. Retainers, old school retainers, we'll do this many hours for a reduced rate of this rate. Can pacify, that normally kicks in after project work, where you've got almost like a maintenance agreement with a client for delivering all of their content needed to drive their marketing channels and everything else. But again, your yardstick is still hours and rates, albeit reduced and a bit more locked in with carryover and, balancing of account on it every 3 months, where awkward conversations ended up becoming the foundation of the client-supplier relationship. So for me, trying to change that dynamic of how client and supplier work together was fundamental, and being able to encapsulate some of the technology a little bit more than what you can justify on an hour and rate basis. So the subscription model is essentially unlimited creative for a fixed fee per month, but it's delivered linear. So it's more for businesses who have an internal marketing function but maybe don't have internal creatives, trying to negate the need for them to hire creatives, because quite often companies don't know how to manage creative teams. The briefing to the creative team's bad. They get pulled into meetings they shouldn't be in, so you have a huge amount of disutilization. So the design subscription is a model whereby for a fixed fee per month, they can engage with us, get their design person, but also get the strategic support of an account manager within our agency to act as the hinge between their business and the creative output. And essentially the business can benefit from unlimited creative output. So the yardstick entirely changes. It then just becomes scales rather than how long and how much is your rate. It's you pay X per month and then you've given me this. Does that feel like good value? It's a lot more tangible and it's a lot better placed for the client to make that judgment. Our job is then to deliver absolute quality and make the scales really heavy in favor of the output. And then all of a sudden, irrespective of how long something's taken or what the rate might be, the yardstick is, this is really good value and good quality. And that's the feedback we're finding from the clients that we're engaging with on that model.
But what I want to know is, that couldn't have been an easy decision, surely, because there's an adage that if it's not broken, don't fix it. The agency model, typically projects, retainer, they're not the greatest in the world, but to some degree they work for a lot of agencies. Yeah. And you went, nah, I don't want to do that. I've got this great idea. Were there any pushbacks? And if there was, how did you remain so confident in your belief to go, I am ambitious, this is how I want the agency to work, this is the vision I have, and I'm going to go after it?
I mean, first of all, we absolutely still deliver project, and we still also deliver retainer type models because they fit certain types of businesses. This wasn't necessarily develop this model for a design subscription and scrap the rest because it's broken. They do still work in a lot of instances. For example, big branding projects we couldn't deliver on a subscription. They're full agency projects, so they're still delivered as projects. Same big website design and builds, they're always delivered as projects, not on subscription. The subscription was more of an opportunity that we identified within a certain business profile. So there is clients that we've engaged with, and I'm interested in your design subscription. We go, it doesn't suit you. You haven't got the marketing infrastructure to be able to get the output required to see value. If you had a marketing person internally, this could absolutely work for you because we're supporting their strategy. So for me, it was about identifying an opportunity in between the lines. And I think that was quite prevalent being a small boutique agency that we are, Team 7, based in Ancoats. There was a real opportunity for us to be able to approach clients that maybe were unattainable previously with a new offering that allows them to see us as a viable option. So that was more the mindset that I had towards developing this opportunity, changing the yardstick, finding new opportunities in between the lines. So it was more me trying to seek something new within the design landscape rather than trying to change it.
Have you heard of a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy?
Yes.
I think what you've just done there and what you just explained is the perfect example of the blue ocean strategy, where you can find a way to differentiate yourself just by either dropping one thing or adding one thing or reducing certain things. I'm sure I'm butchering the context of the book, but what I got from the book when I first read it is how you then find a way to separate yourself from a hyper competitive market. And it seems like that subscription model is doing really well for you guys. But no, that's great to see.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sure not all things are rosy. You've got mistakes as your second category, so let's find out what the deck of cards are.
I'm going
for
to
you.
go all the way to the other side this time.
Okay.
Oh, that one. Come on.
There we go. And the question for you is, what's the lesson you took from a project that didn't go well?
That's very, very prevalent. Obviously, I'm not going to name anyone or anything like that, but the subscription model we developed was, like most things, initially developed on spreadsheet. It was a paper exercise. It was stacking up the numbers. It was making it work from a commercial point of view initially. Then it was a trial basis and focus groups and speaking to clients, asking, does that sound like something that would work for you? You know, like getting that like real market feedback. Then you deploy, and then you go and just do it. You deliver. You learn on job. You're in beta mode. You know, and realistically, that model for us, as much as our rebrand, relocation to Manchester, and everything happened probably 14 months ago now, that model for the design subscriptions only really been active in the marketplace for maybe 8 months now, 7 or 8 months. So we've been through a really, really intense learning curve. And I think I've touched on it already, like it's always been founded knowledge of it only works for some people. We maybe naively went into it initially thinking it was going to work for everybody. And it has the potential to work for everybody if they're the right kind of business, the right kind of person with the right kind of motivations towards creative output. But there's definitely profiles of businesses and people where it does not work and it is like pulling teeth and the expectations just aren't aligned. And that's been the biggest learning curve that we've had to go through. So we went from being almost exclusively a project-based agency to being a project-based agency now with a design subscription offering. But in actual fact, we've had to reintroduce, which we've never done before in the 7 years. So when I say reintroduce, this has probably become more from like the old marketing days, where we now have introduced more of a retainer-based model in the middle as a hinge, where that retainer-based model has inherent fractional marketing support built into it for a smaller business who has the budget and the desire but doesn't have the marketing function internally. So the biggest mistake we made was launching at the market thinking the subscription was going to be all things for all people, and it definitely isn't. It definitely isn't.
What did that teach you about the agency?
It taught, to be honest, it was positive, because being the size we are, identifying that issue wasn't difficult. It was steep, but it wasn't difficult. And it was actually quite painful at times to hear some of the clients' sort of comments and feedback when it was completely like intangible, really. Like they didn't have it long enough on it to be able to honestly feedback. But they did. We listened, and it taught me that we're really agile. Like we can adopt, adapt, learn, deploy really quickly. So now we're in a position where we do say no to people who come and ask for the design subscription, and we effectively start that process now with an audit. That whereas before it would be like, great, let's get going, learn on job. You know, now it's not. It's we audit and we kind of go, yeah, we do think this fits you. It'll be a perfect fit for you, in fact, or we don't think this is right for you. This is probably a better offering, or maybe we just need to deliver what you're asking for on a project basis.
How do you now protect that time to make sure like those priorities that you mentioned don't get neglected?
It's a really good question. It's something that's been quite prevalent in my mindset for the last few months. And I really don't mind saying it's been a bit of a happy accident, because the agency is called LYFE Studio. I see friends, I see family, they go, oh, how's life? And I never know which one they're on about. And I'm like, wait, actually, it's kind of both, isn't it? It's always both. You know, wife and kids are great. You know, you've even asked me today, how's the family? You know, that's one life. And then how's life, the business? Yeah, business is great. You know, yeah, challenges with this, successes with that. But so I was like, well, if they're both the same thing, then I need to develop my own personal values that are in line with the values of the business. So the values I live by now essentially are part of our process for branding businesses, and they're very much something that I also personally adopt and live by. There's only two of them. The first one is simplify everything. You know, things don't have to be complicated to be successful or to work. Quite often the most simple things are the ones that work the best. Same applies with branding, same applies with the approach to conducting your life, and you know, the chase of the things you want and the things you have, and just simplify everything. So that felt like a really easy win for me to go, right, that works for business, works for clients, works for my life. Tick, stick that one in the locker. We live by that now. The second one does exactly the same, but it's be intentional. The biggest problem companies have these days with their branding is that I've started out, sometimes on a shoestring budget, developed a logo with a colour palette and a font, essentially a really small part of the visual identity, not the brand. I educate businesses and people on this all the time. What is a brand? The key thing is intentionality costs nothing. So accidental brands are ones that are built, oh, we should do this now, great, bolt that on there, oh, stick that on there, get that person to do our social stuff, get that person to do the website, get this other person to do some email marketing for us. Oh, I know, why don't we just get the admin at the back of the office to just start bashing out some blogs for us? All of a sudden there's no tone of voice, there's disjointed visual identity execution, the touch points are inconsistent, they don't join up. You know, so we bring intentionality to businesses through the work we deliver, and then actually much about the values you have around your mental state, your well-being, your health, your attitude towards family, your attitude towards business. I think if you can wrap all of that in intentionality rather than letting things happen accidentally, then you're onto a massively strong track for delivering on all those fronts. So things don't happen in my life by accident now. They happen because I've made them happen or because I wanted them to happen. And the odd accident that does happen is normally completely out of my control, like getting ploughed head on in a car crash last November. You know, like, wow. Yeah, I mean, all good, everything's fine. You know, there's been a bit of a recovery in that, but that is truly then an accident. You know, everything else I'm in control of. I'm intentional. I'm making decisions about whether it's the food that goes into my mouth, the drink that touches my lips, the night out I have or I don't, the attendance to this, the meeting of that, being here today. I haven't got here by accident. I haven't had my arm twisted. If I didn't want to come, I wouldn't have been here. Simple as, I wanted to be here, so here I am. You know, intentionality and simplify everything. That's literally it.
No, that's gold. That someone needs to put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, I think it.
Well, let's talk about LYFE, the business.
LYFE with a Y.
LYFE with a Y. So operations is next.
Yeah.
What are you going for?
I'm going there.
Okay. What's the operational thing you're most proud of implementing and why?
I won't talk about the business model again because we've touched on that loads. The most rewarding, can rewarding class as proud of?
Absolutely.
I'm really, really delighted with the team we've managed to build in such a short space of time. The level of expertise, the commitment, the capability within the team. Recruiting has never been easy for the businesses I've had prior to being in Manchester. We were based out, as you know, out in the sticks in Cheshire. Impossible recruitment process. When I had the other business, it was based over in Knutsford, albeit in a lovely, beautiful town. Still not the easiest to draw all of the talent out to. It tends to be people who are in and around the area who would apply because it's not the easiest place to get to. So there was some sticking spots on recruitment in that business even, and I kind of went into the whole idea of recruiting again for LYFE Studio thinking it was going to be more of the same, and in actual fact the pool of talent we have access to now and the commitment to what we're trying to achieve since they've come on board has been nothing short of amazing. So yeah, I'm really proud of the team we've got and what we're building still.
What would you say are the qualities that separate a good employee versus a not so good employee?
There's a few, but I think something that is fundamental, or has been fundamental for us, because we were going through a huge pivot, we were going through a huge readjustment, we had a vision, and that's what they were coming on board with. So the mettle that the team have showed to come on board, embrace the vision that we have, own the vision that we have, and execute the vision that we have. So just like undeniable belief in what we're trying to achieve is probably the biggest thing. Like, I would say is as a quality and employee, you know, skills can be taught, attitude is untrainable. So I think like finding the right person that has the right mindset, that aligns to your ambitions and aligns to your own objectives and the journey you're on, they go on the journey with you. The last thing you want to be doing as an owner of a business, especially a professional services business, is dragging people along from behind. In a way, we've now got team members there who drag us along in certain instances. Not every day, that's not saying we're not pulling our weight, but in certain functions within the business now, we've got people in there who are delivering and almost showing us how it's done, which is amazing. You always say when you employ and you replace the function that you're delivering, employ somebody better than what you're doing yourself. I did that with bringing Ben on board as a partner. He's far and away the best creative I've ever worked with. He's super creatively astute, and he delivers daily, passionately, with speed and quality, bound in. You know, I did that with. I was able to go, great, I don't need to design stuff anymore. That's Ben's bit to do. You know, and then we've done the same with Charlie on the account management side of things as well. Charlie's come in from another agency and he's owned the day-to-day management of clients, communication, driving strategy from the inside, upsell, cross-sell, value-driven. Like he's delivering daily on that, and I can stand back and go, yeah, Charlie can manage clients better than I ever could. So it relinquishing certain responsibilities that I knew I had to was daunting, but has actually been relatively easy because of the caliber. So
you mentioned vision about 5 times there.
Did I?
Give or take. How did you sell Ben the vision to then bring him on as partner, and then how did you sell the rest of the team the vision to help you recruit top talent?
Yeah, they were slightly different. The vision was born after Ben came on board. Ben came on board in December 2020. So he'd been around a good few years and we developed that vision together. Me and Ben have a fantastic working relationship because we have very different qualities as business owners. Ben is very much focused on output, very much focused on protecting the quality that we've become renowned for. I'm a lot more I'm looking like 50 miles down the road. He's looking literally at the curbside right next to us, day-to-day delivery. So when it comes to business strategy, realising a plan, Ben will even say this if he was sat here himself, it's been pretty much my development, and then I soundboard off Ben, get his buy-in, get his input, make tweaks together, finalise things together and agree together. I'm not dragging him along in this vision at all. It's our vision now that we are delivering together, but it was probably stimulated by me gaining that little bit of freedom, having the space to think.
Oh, beautiful. Survival. Every agency, I mean, even my agency included, there are moments where you go, is this thing going to work?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you going for?
We're going there.
Okay. Ooh.
Oh, I don't like that.
What got you out of bed on the mornings you really didn't want to?
What got me out?
What got you out of bed on the mornings you really didn't want to?
It's a pretty mad question because there's not many mornings when I've ever woke up and thought, you know what, I can't do this. And that might sound like a little bit immaculate, but like genuinely, I've never fallen out of love for the craft that I have and the work we deliver. I would say possibly the most difficult time I had was when we had the design agency, we had the distillery, and we were getting involved in another project as well. I won't talk much about that, but it never materialised. When we were developing the strategy for what the new version of the business looked like before we moved to Manchester, it became very apparent that those two other ventures couldn't remain on the table. We had to get out of those and as quick as possible. I probably had more sleepless nights, stressful mornings at that time, because essentially the snapshot of my life now is I've relinquished the creative responsibility, relinquished the day-to-day client responsibility, as much as I still have a very big responsibility to my clients and on a whole. When you look back at that time, say 18 months ago now, I was doing all of those things within LYFE Studio and trying to run a distillery and getting involved in a third venture. So when you talk about spreading yourself thin, I was like paper thin at this point, probably underachieving on every front. So massive sense of failure in all three ventures, not really vibing anything that was going on at that point. And I suppose action speaks, right? So I think I wallowed for maybe 4 weeks when I was having this like feeling, and then I dusted myself down, went right, identify the problems, identify the fix, execute the fix, simple as. And it was like 6 weeks later I was done. That's probably the most stress I've had, where I've just thought, do you know what, it might be easier me going and just getting a job. I could go and get a job as a creative director, you know, even in the commercial aspect of what I've learned over the years now. You know, I've got good commercial astute knowledge, and I was thinking, could I go and be a Ned? There must be another way I can do this somehow else. And I thought, well, no, that's running away from the problem, not fixing it, you know. So fix the problem, did, and here we are. So
what got you through that stage?
Definitely the support of Ben, definitely the support of family. I am slightly introspective. I trust myself a lot, and I believe in myself a lot, without any arrogance. Like I'm entirely humble with it. I know that everything's fragile, and it doesn't matter how good I say something is today. The reality is 6 months from now, the business could be gone, and you can't be naive to that. But I tend to identify and rectify a lot of problems myself. And I've always kind of like doing it that way. Don't know whether you can swear on this thing, but dealing with your own shit. So I normally deal with my own shit. And that's pretty much how I roll. It's probably one of my main traits, being sort of self-sufficient. So yeah, it was all just about me giving myself a slap one day and realising what needed to be done and getting it done.
We've got a segment called the AMSOS Challenge on the show, where the previous guest picked out a random challenge for you without knowing who you are. And the question is, would you like to accept the challenge without knowing what it is?
Well, I'm obviously going to accept the challenge, aren't I? I'd look like a right numpty if I was sitting here saying no to that.
Well, let's find out. Okay. The challenge set for you is the toast. Raise your glass and deliver a 20-second toast to the people who've helped you get here.
That is an awesome challenge. Do I literally?
Absolutely,
right?
You gotta do it.
It definitely starts with a massive toast to the upbringing that I had from my parents. They brought me up to be level-headed and committed, and they've come from a trade background. My dad's a joiner. He didn't understand me going to university, but he supported it, and that gave me the foundation for everything that came after. Post-university life, absolutely. I met my wife at university. She had been an unbelievable support, the strongest support I could have ever asked for. So huge toast to her, and she's pulled her weight in so many different ways with the kids and sort of the house, and supporting me on the journey, as well as now delivering her own career. So she's a phenomenon, to be fair. And then the support of my friends, peers around me, and of course Ben, business partner. I've got to pay a special nod as well to Jana, my business partner from the first business. If she ever sees this, I don't know. Hi, Jana. You know, we learned a lot together. We were wet behind the ears when we went into that business, and we made a lot of mistakes and got a lot of things right. So huge toast to her as well. But yeah, clients wouldn't be anywhere without them and the team that's around me now. Cheers to you all.
Oh, that's magic. That is magic. Well done. That's absolutely brilliant. And to finish off the show, the last question is a game of chance. There's a 6-sided dice in front of you. Roll the dice, and that determines which question we finish off with.
Which way do they work? 1 to 6 or 1 to 6?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Not that it matters.
Exactly.
I'm going to guess 3.
Somebody clip that. Here we go. 3. What's one thing not many people know about you?
Oh, I've got a really good one. It's super nerdy. Not many, more and more people are getting to know it about me. But one of my little secrets, it's not even a side hustle, it's just a pure hobby, is I collect football cards.
Okay.
It feels weird even saying it. I'm just going to put this out there. I collect football cards, almost exclusively Newcastle United football cards. Huge Newcastle United fan. And I've got a super nerdy collection of Panini Tops, Futera football cards that I still actively, most days, look at, trade, and get involved in. But yeah, love it. I just find it is a really nice way to decompress, focus on another passion in a different way. You know, I go to the games and all that, but it's just completely separate to everything that I'm doing in life, but it still means so much to me. I'm a born and bred Geordie. I'm hoping you can all detect that on the accent, but and all my family are still up there, and it's just my little piece of staying connected at home as well. I think that's psychologically quite important for me. So yeah, I collect football cards.
Craig, this has been a riveting conversation, honestly.
I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed having a chat with you on the show, and you are a man of wisdom for sure. Your story, what you've done, what you're currently building, the work that you and the team are doing, like I said, it's just testament to the man sat in front of me. So we will link all your information in the description below in the show note, and I'm sure there's a few people that will want to connect with you on LinkedIn, on Instagram, etc. We'll link all of that together, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. So thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I've genuinely loved it. I was petrified to start with, but it's been an awesome format, really easy conversation, and I felt entirely comfortable opening myself up. So thank you for having me.
All done?
Boom.
Boom.
That was class, that was class. Well done. You smashed that. That was solid.
You've got me sweating on that question now. I'm like, fuck, should I better thank somebody else that I haven't thanked? I was like, business partners, clients, friends, team, mum, dad. Felt like I was at the BAFTAs.